Now we're going to prepare the fretboard. We're going to use some ebony, and we have some pieces that are already prepared from the supplier. These are 7mm thick, and they have a rough profile shape for the fretboard. What we're going to do is cut a slot in the end for the nut. So we're going to have this actually embedded in the end of the fretboard rather than just butting up to it. The other option you can use is having a 0 fret. And then we're going to create a radius on the fretboard for the curvature for playing. So we're going to first set up the distance that this needs to be. Make sure, of course, this piece of timber is exactly parallel, otherwise it won't be, the nut won't be square to the centre line of the fretboard. I'm going to bring the router down so it just touches the base. Okay. And then I can set, I've got a centre mark I can set up here. It's not overly critical because we're going to cut the frets relative to this slot, but if we can get it as close as we can to, I'm set it to 1 centimetre from the end of the fretboard. Okay, let's put a piece of wood across the middle. And let's get a clamp. Could clamp it in 2 places. Clamp it reasonably light to start with, and then we can still have a little scope for movement. Let's just double check we've got this in the centre. 37.5. Looks good to me. Could do this in probably more than one cut. It's probably better to do it in 1mm passes. It's always better not to try and work too much out of wood with these sort of tools. So we're going to do, say, 1mm at a time. This could all end in tears, but we'll see. Okay, rock and roll. Very nice. A nice square cut. For the length of fretboard that we're needing, we only need about 495 to work with. So I'm just chopping off the end bit. Now we are going to cut the profile or the radius of the fretboard. And for this we have a wonderful tool. Now we're going to do a radius of 9.5 inches. This is marked on the tool so we don't forget. And this is a sort of radius that the classic vintage Fenders would use. Gibson use between about a 10 and 12 inch radius. Other manufacturers use other radius. I think Jackson uses around quite a large radius, so it makes quite a flat fretboard of about 16 inches. And Brian May on his original guitar, he used a 7.5 or 7.25 inch radius, which is quite a short radius. Gives you a lot of curvature. I think on the guilds that were made in about '93, I think they went up to about a 9 inch radius. Not so much of a difference that you could really see, but we're going to go for 9.5 inches. And we're going to stick on here sticky back sandpaper. Marvellous stuff. This will hopefully make the job quite quick to get the radius cut. Radii can be measured. Absolutely spot on there, spot on there. I don't want to drag it because I'll just drag some dust and it might give us a false idea that it's tight, but it's absolutely tight across the full width of that fretboard. There's our fretboard blank with a nice radius.